just gotta
flip the switch, turn it on. Animation's never gone from Toontown tales to frames that glow. Behind the scenes, come join the show. It's Lightbox, bright ideas, cartoons alive. Lightbox, where animation thrives. Sketch it, ink it, bring it to life. Let's talk anime, art, and cartoons tonight. Lightbox, the way to that way.
Banana by the power of Grayskull. Hi.
Yes.
Welcome to another podcast from Lightbox, the official podcast of Wanimate, the West Australian Animation Association. Whether you're an aspiring animator, a seasoned professional, or simply a fan of the magical world of animation, you've come to the right place. I'm Tanya.
I'm David.
Yeah, there's a third voice we seem to be missing.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
Hello. Hello. If you're watching this, you've got to log on, Lindsay. Come on.
And Lindsay, this was your time to talk about the new adventures of Mighty Mouse, and you're just not here for it. So this is on you, mate.
Totally. And we'll be your guides tonight on this monthly journey into the heart of the animation industry in Western Australia. Each month, Lightbox will bring you the latest and greatest in animation news, from upcoming films and shows to industry discussions that will inspire and empower the talented animators who call West Australia home. We'll also delve into the creative processes and challenges faced by our local animators. Where are we at? As they work, sorry, just lost myself in the script there. As they work tirelessly to bring their unique visions to life. So buckle up and get ready to be amazed as we explore the vibrant, ever-evolving world of West Australian animation. This is Lightbox, and we're just getting started.
Okay, and before we start, we wish to acknowledge and honour the traditional custodians of the land we're streaming from, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We recognise and celebrate their enduring culture, the rich tapestry of Indigenous arts, and the invaluable contribution they make to the vibrancy and cultural diversity of this city and region. And the other thing we wish to go in before we start today's content is we'd just like to issue a quick advisory warning. While our channel is generally suitable for most audiences, there may be occasions when we delve into topics and showcase content that might not be appropriate for younger viewers. We strive to create and engage in enjoyable content for everyone, but I'll try that again. We strive to create engaging and enjoyable content for everyone, but please be advised that some material may not be suitable for children. This is one of those occurrences where that might happen. Although we're talking about a very family-friendly company, there is some association with a single individual in quite an important work of theirs, which is the individual's actions are reprehensible in this stream, and we are going to mention those, unfortunately. So
curse him and his terrible jumpers.
Yes. So as I'm saying, parental discretion is advised, and we encourage you to review the content before sharing it with younger audiences. Our goal is to provide a safe and enjoyable viewing experience for all, and we appreciate your support and understanding in that regard. So shall we go on to some news articles?
Yes, news articles. Okay, we should, there we go, bring up our usual, do we normally do it? That's the way we do it. We don't want to take over everything. Okay, so the news. Tribeca Film Festival, is that listed first?
Do you want to, I thought you'd probably go into mentioning about 330 first.
Yes, the 330 animation competition is in full swing. You have literally a month left. Amazing. April and May have gone by. We are now at the 1st of June. You've got to the end of the month to finish your short films and get them ready for the screening.
And are we still taking entries? Or sorry, are we still taking
if you are super committed and can
Yeah.
add a short to the to your busy schedule and can fit it in within the month, you are still welcome to join. Good luck. A lot of people have had 2 months of prep and organization on you.
Yeah.
And that means that I'm screening something at the 3:30.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So let's get into the other news. So X-Men 97 Season 2 is premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival on June the 13th. So assuming we'll start hearing how good, bad, or indifferent it is after that. And, after Season 1, I've got high hopes for it.
Yes.
We've had a passing of Yuji Ono, the composer, best known for his work on Lupin 3.
Which I rewatched recently, and it's great. Great soundtrack.
Lupin's there's so much Lupin the Third, but yeah, Castle Cagliostro is fantastic. That's definitely, and some of the later stuff is really good as well, and some of the revival stuff. Okay, and finally, Tom Kane, the voice of the professor in Powerpuff Girls. Yoda and Qui-Gon in some of the Star Wars projects going forwards. I think mainly the Clone Wars for Yoda, and Qui-Gon may have been the Tales of the Jedi, I believe. Has also passed away. So,
but Professor Utonium, we have lost him. All the Powerpuff Girl fans. It's a little sad, but yes. Indeed. Okay, next page. So we've got coming soons.
Yeah. Do you want to start off?
Okay, let's talk about Vox Machina Season 4, which the end of the previous campaign arc and the beginning of the last tabletop arc for Vox Machina. Very cool. We'll see a change of a main character as Scanlan has gone off at the end of the last season off with his daughter, and we get to see the new adventures of Tyrion Darrington, which I think some people will really enjoy. What else have we got? The Amazing Digital Circus, which a lot of my students are excited by.
Yeah, I got to admit, I wasn't that familiar with this. This is actually getting the last act, the last episode is getting a cinematic release on June 5th. So keep an eye out for that one. June 18th, Toy Story 5.
Toy Story 5, yes. Woody and the gang, where after we last saw them, riding off into the sunset in Toy Story 4, they're back and fighting against a leapfrog.
So this is what, the third last movie?
The third last movie is there?
Yeah, the third last in the trilogy. Yeah.
We'll see how.
Yeah. I've got to admit, this is the next one on June 25th is getting a cinematic release for a bit, which is a massive anime that I haven't actually been seen any of, which is Bleach, the 1,000-year Blood War arc. The Calamity is hitting cinemas 25th.
I know a few people are into it.
It is big. It is absolutely big. It's been going on for ages. It's one of those huge animes that I just have somehow managed to fly under my radar almost. Yeah, I've heard of it. I just haven't engaged in it. Another Minions movie is coming out June 25th as well. Minions and Monsters. So
is that a crossover with the
No. It looks like they're involved in the movies, and as part of their special effects managed to summon their own eldritch horror. So that looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great idea.
Okay.
Keys delivery service on July 2nd is coming out in 4K.
Yep. So big screen release of re-release of Tiki in beautiful graphics. So let's see how it goes.
It's great.
Okay, and July is also going to mark the new anime season. So there's going to be a lot of some new shows and some returning shows. Returning ones that interest me is it's a new one that interests me is Ghost in the Shell by
Ghost in the
Science
Shell reboot. Yeah.
So that should be very interesting.
I really like its style. It's
Yeah.
it's distinctly different from Ghost in the Shell that we have seen. It's definitely got a more toony feel to it, and I love the character designs.
But it looks a lot like the original manga artwork. It looks really good. I can't wait to see it. You and I, Polar Opposites, season 2 is also coming out this season. So yeah, it should be good. Okay, local screenings. June 6th, Anastasia at the Revival House. June 7th, Lady and the Tramp at Revival. And June 8th, we've got Paprika and Tokyo Godfathers at, that will be the Luna.
Very cool.
So that'll be
definitely do one of those. Should be quite cool. I'll probably see Anastasia again. But
I've still got to get Paprika off my pile of shame, and Tokyo Godfathers would be a good one to add with it.
True.
Nice. All right, and the other thing I wish to cover is we've got an event coming up. Not our event, but the State Library of West Australia is hosting a free workshop on digital comics, colouring and communications with Bree Manning, and the event will be on June 7th at 2 p.m. So take a look on the State Library website. I don't know if tickets are required. Even if it's a free event, you might need to book tickets still. So look at that and see how that goes.
Go get involved. It's great. Yeah.
Excellent. Alrighty. So let's get on to the monthly topic.
Okay. Of course. We're going to talk.
Shouldn't it have a sound associated with that?
Oh, yeah. Let me just hit the play button here.
Pavlovian response. Okay, we're going to be talking about Filmation, the last of all American studios, as far as animation goes.
As far as Lou would say, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's a showman, that's for definite. And with all fairness, only one of their works in 30 years was outsourced to non-American animators.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't just Lou. It was Hal Sutherland and Norm Prescott as well. Coming together. And Lou came from Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And Hal from Disney. I'm not sure where Norm came from. Did we find any information?
Norm's a different stream. He's not an animator per se. He's more behind the scenes, like legal and economy and money, I should say. So that's his background. I don't know about the studios. I didn't actually do too much research on that one, I have to admit. Sutherland was involved in Lady and the Tramp, and I've just forgotten whatever. But yeah. So those are the first two. This is the first three that really formed it in 62.
Cool. Filmation as a company were definitely all American. Like we mentioned that a few minutes ago. So in diving in, they went straight into the 60s with a revival of Superman who'd previously been done by Fleischer.
Yep. I should go for
that.
Yeah,
you should talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So let's do that instead. Go through that. Okay, so yeah. So let's start with the New Adventures of Superman in 1966, which is really, although not where the company started, it's where it got its start from. I mean, before that, Filmation worked on a few other projects. I believe Rod Rocket, both Lou and Hal worked on together. Some religious works. They'd also got some money for that, and Italian film credits of all things for Pictrum movies. So
Nice.
yeah, and some ads, of course. So that's how they first launched a studio, but nothing was really rolling in. So when DC wanted to do a show for less than the going rates, Lou Swimmer automatically said yes, despite not knowing if it's possible. They wanted to tour the studio. Again, he said yes, despite having an empty studio with a reception manned by a mannequin at the time.
Now, it's definitely the same age, like era as Spider-Man the Animated Series. Did it come out before or after?
God, now I'm trying to think on that one.
Going back to our
I think it came out just like a year or two afterwards. This was prompted. DC wanted it mainly because they were seeing money left on the table. They were seeing repeats of the 1950s Superman live action series doing good numbers, especially on the Saturday morning slot. So this is why they prompted to get this. So what happened is they sent a representative to see the studio, and that's what he ended up seeing. Lou called in favors, had a crew of animators on their lunch break from other companies manning desks in the studio, and while his wife manned the reception. Actor Ted Knight, who later on gained some fame in the Mary Tyler Moore Show, wandered the halls doing multiple voices to make the place look like it was much more lived in and had more people than it actually did. That's how the DC rep walked through the studios and reported back that the team was running a tight ship, so they gave them the money. Part to go through. Part of that was, I think it was 10% less than any other studio quoted, so they got it done on budget. The result was a classic Superman that's a love letter to the 50s comic. A lot of the same writers from DC at the time ended up moving to do scripts for the show, and a number of those were reworkings of popular storylines from the Silver Age. So this was 3 7-minute segments, 2 Superman stories and 1 Superboy story. And it's one of the shows that is in and of itself responsible for actually causing the Saturday morning cartoon boom. I think I haven't written down how many seasons. I think it ended up with about 3 seasons going forwards. It did also garner some problems as far as complaints from parental groups about Superman solving problems with violence actions. So, yes. I think we discussed a lot of this earlier episode that we did when we were talking about we were talking about superhero shows earlier. So see that episode. All right. Tanya.
Okay. Oh, let's leap into I think it's this slide. Oh. Okay. So late 60s after Superman, you've got Lou and the team looking for something inspired by the pop music groups and TV shows around that time, because there was a Beatles animated series around that time. There was the Monkees were out. It wasn't quite the time for the Partridge Family or that, but there was definitely a step up in musical group TV shows. And so Filmation partnered with Archie Comics to adapt Archie into an animated series, and as part of that show they created the fictional band the Archies for the show. And the fictional band the Archies released actual real world singles, of which we know one commonly, Sugar Sugar, became a massive international hit, #1 in tons of countries. So yeah,
top of the Billboard charts in the US for a number of weeks too. So it was a big song.
If you go and watch the film clip, it is fairly typical Filmation animation, heavily reused, repeating cycles, all done on the cheap, simple backgrounds, and limited movement. Even more so than Hanna-Barbera was doing at the time. Of course, they were definitely trying to undercut their competition. So interesting to note that a lot of people who knew the song The Archies didn't realize that they weren't a real band. So there was attempts to call their managers at Filmation to book them a couple of times. So yes. But you know, there's a lot of the success of this that led on to Hanna-Barbera creating Josie and the Pussycats and other shows around that. It was Sugar Sugar was the biggest selling single of 1969, and the TV show was, you know, a pretty standard, you know, American school Archie comic show. But yeah, the interesting choice was the choice about turning them into a band, which is, you know, not something that really had happened into the comics, and because I'm pretty sure you couldn't get Reggie and Jughead and Archie and Veronica and all sitting around and actually working together as a collective group to create a band, but sure.
Yeah, doesn't seem like they've kind of got that energy, does it?
No.
Should we talk about a couple of things, because we're kind of touching on them? A couple of things that made Filmation, shall we? So
yeah,
let's start with that Lou Schimmer quote. We're not making art, we're making TV. And that is really something that summarized their output going forward. They were making TV. They were getting it done by any means possible. This wasn't a high-end production. This wasn't something that would hit most of the time, hit the big screens. We'll come back.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we'll come back and talk about that in the late 80s. Go on.
But like in animation terms, heavy reuse of repeating cycles, traced rotoscoping of live action actors that was reused and reused.
But that would more come in the later 70s and 80s, wouldn't it?
Definitely. They really refined what Ralph Bakshi had been doing in the 70s as they were stepping through, because Ralph Bakshi's rotoscoping is nice, but it does have a lot of jittery line work, even if you look at something as classic as like Fire and Ice, whereas He-Man and She-Ra still really, really nice, clean movement. Which
it's just for those couple of sequences that they'd spend the money on and just really drill in and get it really perfect, and then they'll reuse those shots 2 or 3 times per episode. At the least. You know, walking sideways, walking left, walking right. A little bit of head noddy animation, and you've pretty much got an entire episode. So, plus the limited voice cast generally. We were talking about Star Trek, the animated series last month, which was Filmation work, and James Doohan, Scotty, did about 50 different voices for that show alone. So.
So their voice acting cast was great. There is a lot of similarities in some of them as well. You can definitely hear them if you sit and think about it. But some talented voice actors amongst them.
Yeah. And I believe they also had a relatively limited cell count for what they put on as well.
Yeah.
I know again in Star Trek Animated that the reason they were losing some of the I think they were down to, was it 6 cells that they were stacking, and they were losing the ability to add things like torsos or hands and sections, and occasionally people would lose limbs just because there wasn't enough.
They were animating on 4s, which is incredibly cheap animation in the scheme of things, but it was kind of held up by its voice acting cast and some good writing.
Yeah, the writing is incredible. We'll go on to talk about the legacy of Filmation, but yes, one of those is certainly the writing and the writing cast that was used. And it was a lot of the other thing I think it's worth noting is they were willing to give people a chance as a studio. That there was very much a starting place for a lot of talent going forward in a lot of different areas.
True.
So for all their flaws, you've got to admire that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on a decade to the 70s. Oh, I should probably point out one last thing. Should probably point out, Filmation is also fairly reliant on IP as well. They did produce a number of their own things, but they were very reliant on like DC animation in this period in the 60s and 70s, being able to, and even the 80s, being able to touch on those sort of things that had a foothold in other cultures coming through. They were very reliant on shows or comic books like the Archie show, tapping into that previously established comic book, or Gilligan's Island, or whatever. Or were they responsible for the Brady Bunch as well?
Brady Bunch, actually.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm confusing my Filmation. I know they were responsible for Gilligan's Island and the later Gilligan's Planet.
Yes, Brady Bunch, 1972 to 73.
Thank you.
Produced by Filmation. Includes the 6 Brady children having adventures alongside mystical creatures. It's called the Brady Kids.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah. That was that. They were often pick up TV shows that had some cultural significance, but were past their use by date, and revamp them as a cartoon show and see if they could get another couple of seasons out of it as well.
Cool. Well, let's talk.
Let's go for that next decade, the 70s.
The 70s, which means opening with
apologies for this. Okay, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, 1972 to 1985. There was no way to avoid this one, unfortunately. This is one of the biggest hits of Filmation in the 70s. It ran for 8 seasons on and off, and moved into the 80s. It, I think, produced another remake cartoon and definitely a remake live-action movie later on down the track, but that was well past Filmation's use by date at the time. So let's start with the good for the show. Design with education in mind, and a consolidation of with the consultation of educational professionals. So from the ground up, it's looking at not just a moral lesson, which it does give, but also what is appropriate for kids, what is appropriate for them to hear as far as their lessons go as well. And that was one of the first shows that really looked at that in a proper educational sense. It's got a positive depiction of people of color and relative colorblind approach to the world, to its world setting, unless that was part of the moral story arc at the time. It obviously does cover racism in a number of its themes as it goes forward, but in general, it's a fairly colorblind approach. It covers a dizzying array of topics with the moral lessons. Look, it could be as simple as lying or how to act around a girl, Two, there's episodes that cover death, domestic abuse, gang wars, gun crimes, and white neo-Nazis. So it's a bit of a wide net that it casts there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understatement. It's that being said, that it does treat every single one of those topics with the pure kid gloves that it needs to treat each of those topics. It navigates them quite positively, and the morals and the delivery is always chef kiss.
Absolutely. Sometimes, and we'll go into this a bit later, sometimes the language and approach might be a bit dated by today's standards, but it was, of the time, it was as best consultation as they could get. So it was very appropriate for the time. Let's speak of the inappropriate at the time, shall we? The bad. Look, Cosby, the once esteemed comedian in the past decades, has become the subject of scores of sexual assault allegations spanning his entire career. He was found guilty of aggravated sexual assault in 2018, but the conviction was overturned for what is largely technical reasons in 2021. And Cosby is front and center here. His name is in the credits. He's in the title sequence. He's a producer. He's in the live action wraparounds. He's the voice of the central character, and he's the voice of one other character, Bill, who is a young Bill Cosby. So you can't avoid him. There is no way of avoiding the man, and considering his behavior and allegations, it does leave a very, very foul taste in your mouth when you're watching this.
It's a real poison, potion to what should be a landmark series. In across all animation, not just Filmation. So, yeah, really sad that it is a little bit toxic.
It is incredibly toxic for that. I'm not sure if it's streaming anywhere at this moment in time. I know you can find elements on YouTube, but it's just I imagine it's one of those series that will be lost in time, become lost media in time, just because of the association. It's impossible to avoid. The other complaint level against it is what we were addressing previously, is the show's become so of its time when dealing with issues of the day and the approach of the day. It's dated to a degree. The terminology and approach is often out of date and occasionally actually offensive. So yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah,
it is a shame.
It is a big shame. Let's go into something else. Okay,
please,
so
let's do something happier in the 70s.
Let's get us out of that. Look, I wonder if Connor's watching this, because Connor got these slides out of order for me, and I'm trying to remember.
Might have been the way we presented them, and we didn't.
Is that this one? Ooh. Okay, back in the realms of DC Comics, you've got a new Justice League TV series, which is not labeled the Justice League because, you want it to be a lot more lighter and friendlier for a young audience. So we'll just call it Super Friends.
Yeah.
And Super Friends, yeah. Let's talk about Super Friends. Where's my notes? So it's another partnership, but bringing in several other members of the Justice League. So you've got Batman and Robin, very much in their 60s, 66 Batman TV series style, and the appearance of Wonder Woman, who, as much as I'd love to have animated Linda Carter is not animated Linda Carter, but definitely a lady of the 70s, and the appearance of Aquaman. And, you know, a lot of those lazy Aquaman memes that have come out over all come from this TV series. So Aquaman is, it was the introduction to superheroes, to these superheroes for an entire generation. It did it.
Batman and Robin had, and I think even Aquaman had Filmation series beforehand, but this is certainly the one that really lingers in the memory.
We put them all together in the same world. Included in the Hall of Justice, I think, for the first time, and it's actually, you know, made that transition. The Hall of Justice made that transition back to the comics, and several things were created for the series. The first couple of seasons, you had an animated character and a couple of animated kids and a dog, and later the creation of the Wonder Twins, Anne and Jaina, who were created specifically for the cartoon, which they're bright purple outfits there. Made the transition back to the comics as well. So
and Gleek the Wonder Chimp.
yes. Hardly Detective Chimp, but sure.
No.
It was the era of Lancelot Link and such. So yeah. It also kind of established that superhero team format show. You know, prior to this, most superhero shows were individuals doing their thing, having a super team, solving problems with friendliness. No lie, there was very little violence and action. You know, even Batman doesn't punch anyone as much as he should. No aliens are punched, and it's all, you know, solving puzzles with friendship is the key to the Super Friends. It's about the same time that Spider-Man and his amazing friends are out.
That's a few years later, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, but definitely takes a leaf from the world of Super Friends, and you know, to the point where people can say Super Friends in place of the Justice League and still know what you're talking about. But yes, it's definitely for a younger audience. Also, during the 70s, we had things like Defenders of the Earth. So you had Flash Gordon and Mandrake the Magician, and those shows coming from Filmation. Very, very cool. We talked about Star Trek previously. I
think we should also mention this time there was Filmation was also moving into live action. So Shazam was part of their remit at the time, or part of their lineup at the time. Although that was very much live action rather than animated in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
And a few other shows that we were doing at the same time as well, which mixed live action and cartoons. They even attempted a few superhero shows with a bit more of a live action format, which are absolutely terrible if you ever get a chance to see them, because they're not exactly sure what they're doing. They're not doing a cartoon, so they're trying to do a comedy roast sort of style, and it's not good. It is certainly not good.
It is a post-66 Batman, which, you know, definitely did Batman. So, but, you know.
It's good to see Adam West getting some employment at the time, so, yeah.
Yeah. True. Okay. Let's
move into the 80s, I guess, and the reason that we're here.
Oh, the reason why we're here. So,
yeah.
He-Man.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Okay,
so
with the movie launching, and of the three of us, two of us that are here that have seen it, you
I can't comment because I'm under embargo till tomorrow.
what tomorrow?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I can't comment rather than give I can only give social reactions. So
oh. There. Sorry, guys, you missed out on your key review of He-Man, but
yeah, sorry guys. Look,
David has seen it.
it will be.
I'm going to see it.
It'll be up in Express on Thursday. So I'll post the link.
Do it. Yeah, post the link. David's review of He-Man in Express magazine.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that in pre-show. Apologies, Tanya.
All good. I was
No. So look, we've already discussed in detail the previous on the previous toy-based episode. Talking about how He-Man came into being, both as a toy and as an animated series. Noting both the rule change that allowed more advertising-friendly cartoons onto TV, and the fact that Lou cheekily parlayed one special into an entire series that eventually got 2 seasons across 2 years and 2 movies as well, animated movies, one with She-Ra and Christmas movie as well. And this is also
the She-Ra one isn't really a movie. It's the first 5 episodes of the TV series.
Yeah, I think it was initially a movie, and then they cut it down into the first 5 episodes because that's how thrifty they go. Yeah. So
okay, fair enough.
That's fairly standard. Okay. And also, I think we discussed at that time parental bodies that led to its moral message and the fact that He-Man, just punched things slightly, not always solving issues with violence.
There were guns in the series, but they never hit anything. So
yeah. So what we didn't mention is how it actually got distributed, which sounds really boring, but it's one of the reasons that Filmation ended up falling over as a company. The networks refused to pick up the cartoon based on the poor showings of one of their previous episodes, Gilligan's Planet. So they ended up going to local networks instead of American-wide networks, and giving them a lower initial buy-in in exchange for a cut of the ad revenue. So what's known as barter syndication. Of course, the show was an absolute hit, using an old technique that made Filmation, all those old techniques that made Filmation bankable. So as we discussed, it's reusing those beautiful shots that it initially establishes over and over again per episode. It's a very limited voice cast doing multiple roles throughout the entire of the series. It's burning those monies on those shots and those backgrounds that you're going to reuse rather than
the background artists were really good.
Yeah,
like the unifying style between both series, He-Man and She-Ra, like the backgrounds are fantastic. Really nicely painted, sweeping vistas, always awesome use of the color palette is great across the 2 series, and Eternia and Etheria do have a distinctly different look between them, and really works.
And as much as we like to rib on some of the individual episodes and the moral story behind the episodes, and that they did take a lot of different, the writers did take a lot of different lore and form it into a relatively cohesive whole for both Eternia and Etheria as well. With He-Man, it started off as mini comics coming through from the toys to the mini comics, and those were very different. And this turned into something less Conan-esque than those original mini comics were. and a much more child-friendly sort of approach to it, rather than a jungle barbarian questing after a sword.
True.
Yeah. And we do see some fairly famous writing talent coming to this one, and getting employment later on. So, Tanya, do you want to speak of some of the spin-offs there? Because She-Ra's
She-Ra, totally willing to talk. Of course, He-Man and She-Ra go hand in hand, tied in. They wanted an alternate girls show, girls toy line for She-Ra, and of course She-Ra was put together. The toy line doesn't mirror the TV series in the same way that the He-Man dolls did. Absolutely, there are some similarities, but the animated series of She-Ra followed He-Man a lot more in terms of its style and design, and a lot of those characters from She-Ra were moved into the He-Man toy line. So Hordak and Mantenna and those sorts of Master of the Universe specific characters. The female characters tended to be little same with some color changes in the dolls, but the animated series themselves, quite distinct, but definitely unified in their style. So the point where they're very much mirrors of each other. The world is slightly different, but you've got He-Man versus Skeletor, you've got She-Ra versus Hordak, you've got a lot of that. A menagerie of friends and foes that all tie together, and some really, really awesome character design in there that went through. Like Mantenna's design is pretty amazing. Like a great character that's done, considering what the rotoscoping, using live action reference. Mantenna's animation is rotoscoped as well, and he has extra limbs, and his eyes bug out in extremely cartoon ways, and his voice is very
yes.
So,
The voices are some very interesting choices made for a lot of the voice work there. Are those similarities those similarities you're talking about are purposefully built in by Filmation in many ways. It's not just them being lazy. They noticed that 30% of their audience was women watching it, girls watching it. So they realized they had a formula there. They thought they could exploit it for a different gender. And
you had Tila and Sorceress and Evelyn, representing like pretty great characters for girls through He-Man. So taking that a little bit further, switching it around and making a series that is a gender mirror to He-Man. He-Man really worked. Though, I'm not in love with the big love heart emblem in Bo's chest armor, but sure.
I have to admit, I do want to see a modern redesign of that from Masterverse and see what they can come up with.
I'd be interested to see where that goes. But But we did get a redesign as part of the reboot of She-Ra, which we shouldn't really talk about because it's not specifically Filmation, but.
And same with the reboots of He-Man and Masters of the Universe, because you've got starting very early on, you've got the New Adventures of He-Man, then 2000X, then the two different Netflix series, Revolution and Revelations, and the other sort of more kid-friendly Netflix series with CG animation that they had as well, with the very large, chunky He-Man design, which often gets forgotten.
Yes. you can find those shows online, generally with scores of 40 to 50-year-old men complaining that we've destroyed their childhood in some way. So, but yes. Some of them check it, like 2000X version of He-Man is great. It's really, really nice.
Yeah,
I really like the style.
It's on Prime at the moment, and as far as any toy collectors out there, it's one of the recent lines that have gone through releasing a very animation close versions of the characters from Mattel in the last year or two. So yeah.
Ooh, very cool.
All right, and you have one more, I believe.
I do have. Well, I can talk a little bit about other things, but let's talk about. It's Brave Star.
Speaking of toy-related products,
so yeah, definitely toy-related products. Brave Star, unlike the others, was one season, and it didn't go further than that. But a space western, which it's amazing concept. You've got Brave Star, who is a Native American character, as the space sheriff on an alien planet, really, really nicely put together series, which just didn't do as well as, say, He-Man or She-Ra. We lost it after a single season, but it's still worth going and watching. A lot of the same stuff, a lot of reuse of things, a lot of reuse of the rotoscopes of the He-Man series. So character roles, character runs, a lot of that is definitely reused.
Tex Hex was a design from another animation that was boosted up. I believe that was Ghostbusters who was initially involved in. Was it?
Yeah.
Or have I got it wrong? Yeah.
It's a little bit of an overlap. I can talk a little bit about Ghostbusters as well. So
okay, yeah.
I should talk a little bit about Ghostbusters. You've got Brave Star's horse, who turns into, he transforms in a way. He basically gets up on his hind legs and gets
definitely
the gun.
more than meets the eyes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And becomes a functional combatant, as well as Brave Star's trusty steed. Cute characters and amazing backgrounds, like really, really nicely painted backgrounds. So and the animation exactly the same, really nicely done, but definitely on the cheap. Ghostbusters on the same hand is very similar. So Ghostbusters is based off of a live action TV series, whether Filmation was involved in that original live action TV series or not. Yeah, okay. So they were about two guys in their jaunty jalopy and their gorilla Tracy investigating ghosts and solving mysteries and busting ghosts. The animated series is done as an ongoing sequel to the live action series, with the characters playing the sons of the characters from the live action version, and Tracy being the same gorilla who continues his relationship. What the animated series introduces is kind of a He-Man style villain cohort. So you've got the appearance of Primeval and his the robot ghosts, and a whole bunch of corny cartoon ghosts that the Ghostbusters come up against in each episode. So Primeval, voiced done by Alan Oppenheimer, who is the voice of Skeletor. So yeah, So you get a lot of that overlapping, and reuse of free use of the voice cast. But Ghostbusters is fun as part of that. Yes, a bunch of other TV series that was spoken about, sort of hidden in between these main touch points. But there's things that we remember from our childhood, and then there's like strange fever dreams. I find I can have conversations about He-Man and She-Ra with people, and they know what I'm talking about and talk about episodes. But if I say Brave Star, there's I remember that kind of moment. So
I'm sorry, we've had to hit the big ones, and because there's only two of us here, we've hit the big ones, hitting the big ones per decade. We're pretty much covering the ones that you already know. We're not doing things like let's look at Black Star or something along those lines. The He-Man ripoff that was there before He-Man.
He-Man was Black Star was probably the reason they got He-Man.
But it was shown after He-Man really, and got a toy line after He-Man. So
and we don't have Lindsay to talk about Mighty Mouse.
No, don't have Lindsay to talk about Mighty Mouse. We're mentioning Gilligan's Planet in passing, but we're not going into detail on that.
Rightfully so, you know.
Yeah, it is, but it does also demonstrate the huge mistakes that Filmation was willing to make as far as trying to just get anything off.
Was the My Favorite Martian animated series done by Filmation as well? I would say.
I believe it was. Yeah.
So, and if you knew My Favorite Martian, say the animated version was the version I grew up with, and I learned about the live action after having watched the animated version. So, and then a movie came out about 15 years ago. So,
but as you can see, we get to the stage in the 80s just when Filmation is, weirdly enough, at its most successful and just about to go bust as well, because it kind of ushers in its own doom by going, hey, look, we can make these cartoons that are selling toys. It kicked off a golden age for Saturday morning cartoons and weekday cartoons with toy sales and a lot of these sort of animations aimed in that very direct idea of promoting either a toy or a video game, and being much more of an advert, a 30-minute advert, than anything else. And it also promoted the model of doing that through barter syndication and taking a cut of the ad revenue. So very quickly, the market got flooded by these, and that's pretty much what led to their downfall. So in 1989, Filmation was closed by parent company Group W Productions, and its intellectual properties were acquired by the French cosmetic firm L'Oréal, of all things. Okay, since then, the rights of Filmation's products have changed hands over several times, and are today owned primarily, I think, by DreamWorks Animation. So, as I say, it brought about its own demise in many ways. A glut of animation to the small screen, hence dropping the advertising revenue that it was dependent upon with the model that it set up. So it tried to shift to film, and that did not work either. The two ventures into the industry look cheap and like TV fare rather than a cinematic outing. Worse than that, both of them are covering properties that are held by Disney. So although they are in the market of fairy tales, I believe one was Pinocchio, the second one was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and looking at sequels more than an approach of storytelling of those stories, Disney is not that forgiving of things that appear like copyright strikes against it, and can be quite litigious or just hyper competitive. So both of those animations ended up failing at the market, one being released I think 3 odd years after Filmation had actually shut its doors. Um,
True.
Yeah, and it wasn't able to compete because it didn't really source any of it. It outsourced its animation to, on an economic level, it wasn't able to compete because it refused to outsource any of its animation to overseas studios. The one time it did, that was the Legend of Zorro show. It was Zorro and the Lone Ranger, I believe. It is beautiful animation, really smooth, really crisp, and the entire thing got one season of a few episodes and just did not get the ratings whatsoever. So, they stayed in-house, they stayed with what they can control, and it still just didn't work for them. So they had to shut their doors. But the legacy is in the talent that it fostered along the way. Look, we've got a number of writers that end up causing the next animation renaissance on TV to come through Filmation Studios. Paul Dini, involved in the Batman revival. David Weiss, who was in one of the chief writers for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, came through there. You've got Larry DiTillo, who's known for writing for TV. And if you're a gamer out there, you may know him better from Call of Cthulhu's classic adventure, Mask of Nyarlathotep, which he wrote during a SAG strike to keep his hand in. And, of course, JMS himself wrote for She-Ra and He-Man, I believe.
Yeah, he complained bitterly about not being able to take the show even further than he wanted to do. There's multiple complaint emails that are actually leaked online from J. Michael Straczynski to the owners of Filmation, bitching about how many times She-Ra has been put out of action by tying her up, and that kind of really.
Don't blame She-Ra for that. Blame Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman's writer and the thruple.
There's that as well. You know, powerful woman in a TV series. Let's just tie her up. That's that being. We've pushed the limits of where we're going to go. We've done some chatting about Lou and the controversies when it comes to some shows, and we've spoken about the amazing art that has gone into, even though Lou reckons it's not art. It's television, not art. But for those of us of the X generation, it's kind of a company that sings loudly and sings clear in our hearts, and definitely has its following. Even though it was done on the cheap, it was oftentimes a bit rough around the edges. Always well written, but
It was also quite ambitious to what it was attempting. It didn't always achieve what it was attempting, but when it was ambitious and got even remotely close to it, that was a good time.
Yeah. I feel that a lot of the franchises from Filmation, could do with more of a revival. Where they could come from and what they could do. I'm curious to see what could be done with the Ghostbusters animated series going forward.
I don't think, considering the confusion with the Ghostbusters and the real Ghostbusters, as far as it goes, and the real Ghostbusters being the movie Ghostbusters, and the Ghostbusters being something that's not really there in the memory holes of most people. I don't think that's that. I don't think that's a reasonable hope, unfortunately.
True, but Brave Star could be, have
Yeah, I'd
something.
love to see something done with Brave Star. We're actually seeing, I think, an official lineup from Ramen Toys re-releasing the figures that's selling. There's a memory out there for them. So yeah,
I'd love to get a 3030, which is the name of the horse. If I didn't say that,
it's just been released.
Yeah.
I'll after this, I'll send you images of that. So yeah, can do.
Yeah, very cool, amazing. Sorry,
that was my phone deciding that it was on vibrate and falling down. Yep, go on.
Oh, good. The so this is a real dive into my Saturday morning. So I kind of really respect what Lou did, even though he did it on the cheap.
Yeah.
I respect what he tried to do for local animators without outsourcing. Ultimately, it cost them.
Yeah.
And sticking to their guns kind of hurt them in the long run, but there's some solid content that came out of Filmation and some well-remembered content from the various time periods, whatever decade you were watching Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, and the stuff that's later on gone on to be, as we said last month, stuff that's gone on to become injected into Star Trek lore and see actual live action interpretations of those concepts. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, cool. Well, we should wrap it up here and let everyone go into their evenings and potentially,
Indeed. So, hope you enjoyed your public holiday if you're in West Australia.
Happy WA Day to everyone who is over here, and for those of you who aren't, hope it was a great Monday evening for you. But I'm going to say adios from me. No moral.
No, we don't have Wilco to present the moral lesson.
In this week's episode, Tanya talked about. Yeah.
All right, so goodbye from me. All right, farewell.
See ya. Bye. Just got to